talking about what's going on with Assassin's Creed. Now, this is a really spicy one for a few reasons, right? The Assassin's Creed Shadows team has a message for their Japanese community. This is true. There's a lot going on with this. And I've got a video too, from a big creator, the Act Man, who's talking about it. But I just want to briefly go over this letter. I wonder if he might even talk about the letter in here. If he does, maybe we'll just watch his video and we can react to it a little bit. But people are pissed at Ubi in general, and people are mad about the direction that they've taken with Assassin's Creed Shadows. To our esteemed Japanese community, basically the cliff notes of this right now, for everyone who doesn't know what's going on, the main character in Assassin's Creed Shadows, there are two main characters, and one of the main characters, it's set in Japan, feudal Japan. It's the first Assassin's Creed set in feudal Japan, and their main character is a black samurai, and that's been a lot of the controversy, given that, like, there are some historians or a historian who's saying it's historically accurate, and there are others and a lot of like people in Japan who are like, it is not historically accurate. This is very weird. So I wanted to talk about all this with you in the chat and get your takes on it as well. I'll give my take. We want to express our heartfelt thanks for all the support of the Assassin's Creed series has seen, with its history spanning 20 years. Over time, we've explored various settings, time periods, characters, from an assassin during the Third Crusade to a Viking in the 9th century England to countless more. For many, our team, creating an Assassin's Creed game set in feudal Japan has been a long cherished dream. And I think this is like one of the big things. Red Panda in the chat saying, isn't it literally historically accurate though? Well, no, that's the thing. But then again, it's actually not. That, in my opinion, is not the biggest issue, that it's not historically accurate. There's a lot of argument as to whether or not it is historically accurate. And it seems to be that it's kind of not really historically accurate. The character is based on a real person, but it seems like that person likely wasn't a samurai. That's like kind of the most recent thing about it. But in my opinion, like, I don't really care if they were or were not a samurai. Like, you could make your video game after any character you'd like. Since the announcement of Assassin's Creed Shadows, we've received many positive reactions, but also some criticism, including from you, our Japanese players. So Japan has been the biggest, like, as a region, Japan is like, this is dumb. We share your passion for history and deeply respect your care for the historical and cultural integrity of your rich heritage. We would like to address a few points to clarify our intentions. Overall authenticity. We've put significant effort into ensuring an immersive and respectful representation of feudal Japan. However, our intention has never been to represent any of our Assassin's Creed games, including Assassin's Creed Shadows, as factual representations of history or historical characters. Instead, we aim to spark curiosity and encourage players to explore and learn more about historical settings we get inspired by. Assassin's Creed Shadows is the first and foremost designed to be an entertaining game that tells a compelling historical fiction set in feudal Japan. Our team extensively collaborated with external consultants, historians, researchers, and internal teams at Ubisoft Japan to inform our creative choices. Despite these sustained efforts, we acknowledge that some elements in our promotional materials have caused concern within the Japanese community, and for this, we sincerely apologize. All game footage presented so far is in development, and the game will keep evolving until launch, which is an interesting statement, right? Like saying like, hey, we know this isn't real, or we're not even going to argue whether it's real or not, and we might change it. Based on constructive criticism we've received, we will continue our efforts, blah, blah, blah. We also want to clarify that while we've been consulting with many people throughout the development process, they're in no way responsible for the decisions that are taken. That's our call. Bibbidi bobbidi boo. Creative liberties and historical inspirations. While we strive for authenticity in everything that we do, Assassin's Creed games are works of fiction, inspired by real historical events and figures. From its inception, the series has taken creative license and incorporated fantasy elements to craft engaging and immersive experiences. The representation of Yasuke in our game is an illustration of this. His unique and mysterious life made him an ideal candidate to tell an Assassin's Creed story with the setting of feudal Japan as a backdrop. So they took someone real and they made them the main character of this game. And that's like kind of one of the big complaints is you're setting this game in Japan and you've decided to make the main character not Japanese, basically. Let's see. While Yasuke is depicted as a samurai in Assassin's Creed, we acknowledge that this is a matter of debate and discussion. We have woven this carefully into our narrative, and with our other lead character, the Japanese shinobi Naoi, who is equally important in the game, our dual protagonists provide players with different gameplay styles. We greatly value your feedback and encourage you to continue sharing your thoughts respectfully. While we understand that meeting everyone's expectations is very difficult, we sincerely hope that when Assassin's Creed Shadows launches on November 15th, players in Japan and around the world will appreciate the dedication, effort, and passion we have poured into it. And I might as well pull up, maybe I can just pull up some gameplay, because I think we get the gist of it here from the letter. Sorry, Actman. Let's take a look at Assassin's Creed Shadows gameplay. And I think the big issue here, we can kind of talk about what's going on with it. I think for me, you get to make whatever piece of art, whatever game, like you get to make all the choices you want. You can put any character in there. You can make, you could make the movie The Last Samurai. You could, with Tom Cruise as The Last Samurai. You could also make something like Shogun, right? Like that show. Like that show feels maybe like historical fiction that was maybe more historically accurate. I think what people are reacting to is, of course, there are like a few things they're reacting to, right? They're reacting to kind of there's a vocal part of the gaming community. There's actually two vocal parts of the gaming community. There's a vocal part of the gaming community that would really appreciate a black samurai. And then there's also a vocal part of the gaming community that would really not appreciate a black samurai. And I think both of them have good and bad reasons for it. Like, there are people who are maybe overly concerned with like the wokeification of gaming, like worried about things like that, like the whole Sweet Baby Inc. controversy and stuff like that. And then there are people who also want like characters to be, I guess, diverse for the sake of it, which isn't a bad thing, but they care about that maybe more than like an artist like caring about their story. We do have a dog, which is important. I think for Ubi, there was a time, and probably early in the development of this game, where the idea of this being a black samurai was such a good idea, I think like, if I were to guess, like, we're in 2024 right now. I was just, what this reminds me of? I was just watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I've never watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I'm on the final season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, like, the final season has a jarring tone shift, because the tone of the whole show is kind of like lighthearted, silly. They every once in a while have like a very special episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But the first episode is literally the first episode back from COVID, from George Floyd, from BLM protest. Like, it's the most wild tone shift you're ever going to see in a show of all time, right? And I would guess this game was being developed in a time where people really wanted to have like a very diverse cast, especially a black lead character in their game. And I do think it's a creative choice that you're going to take, and you're going to take heat for it if it feels, I guess, forced. I think there's no way to know how this would have played out. But I would argue if you started developing this game 10 years ago, it would not have a black samurai as its lead character. It doesn't mean it's bad. Like, I don't hate it. Honestly, for me, it doesn't bother me at all. But I know it bothers some people. But I think if you were to be developing this game 10 years ago, I think it's likely both characters would be Japanese, because that's kind of what they've done throughout the history of Assassin's Creed. There may be a few that I'm wrong about, but for the most part, like, the characters in Odyssey were Greek. Or is Odyssey the Greek one? The characters in, I can't remember the name of the Egyptian one. The characters in the Egyptian one were Egyptian. Like, they've kind of been in their, they've been in like that culture's like, I don't know. It's been like the people of that culture, you know? So I think when you're making a decision like this and you're saying, well, we're going to have our first game ever set in Japan and the lead character's not Japanese, you're gonna get some like props for that, and you're also gonna get pushback, honestly. So I do understand kind of where it's coming from both ways. For me, it doesn't bother me, but I also think it's weird to be Spragels gone woke. No, I mean, for me, I don't really care either way, you know? It doesn't, like, you could make the character Japanese, you could not make the character Japanese. It doesn't matter to me as long as they care about making a good game. But Egyptians was Origins, thank you. Egyptian was Origins, Odyssey was Greek, and then you had, was it Valhalla? And they were like Vikings. So I think it's a weird, I guess it's a weird choice, but in some respects it's kind of a cool choice. I don't know. However, Japan clearly is not happy with it. I think a lot of people are not happy with it. I think they kind of knew by making this that it would be, you know, I think they kind of knew by making this it would be a little controversial, but I bet they didn't expect it to be this controversial. My real thought is when they started developing this game, they thought it was kind of a brilliant idea, and then as it started to go on, it wasn't like sort of the topic du jour anymore, and then I think people were like upset about it. From the chat, Shadow Wizard says Ubisoft saw money, they don't care. I actually think this is gonna possibly hurt their sales at this point. That's the thing that I think they're running into, you know, is it could hurt their sales. Rye in the chat, Assassin's Creed has always been fictional and they state it in every game. Yeah, I totally agree. And like I said, they get to make whatever choice they want, you know?
What did you find?
They get to put whatever characters in they want. And also, people get to say whatever they want about it, you know? Why are people mad? The gist of, I think, why people are mad, again, is two things. I think it's a broad feeling of, like, games are getting too woke. That's definitely a narrative that's out there, right? And then it's also this thought of, like, Japan specifically is like, really? You set this game in Japan and you didn't make the game about a Japan lead? You know, a Japanese lead? I think that's the thought there.
We can sneak in.
From the chat, in my opinion, a majority of the people mad about this are just not nice people. Possibly, yeah.
It's almost up.
Pimsky, I admit it's probably hard to be stealthy if you're the only black guy in Japan. I mean,
Don't worry.
that's something. That is true. You do stick out a little bit wearing full samurai outfit in Japan. But I don't know. I beef more with how the gameplay is less and less Assassin's Creed and more just third-person adventure. Yeah, they've kind of moved away from it. So this is like kind of the controversy that's happening here. It's interesting. From Mick Thempai in the chat, I hate the idea that a game is considered woke when all it does is include LGBT plus and people of color. That's true. You know, a game, I think a lot of it comes from, look, these are like, I don't know how big Ubisoft is. Is it like $1 billion company? Right? I think what it is some things feel like they're done like because of a focus group almost, right? Instead of multi-billion. Thank you. Some things it feels like they're done because of a focus group decision and not because that's what people were excited about and wanted to do. There's a game, I'm blanking on the name of it. My buddy Mike got it for me 1 year as like a present. I wonder if I have it on my Switch. What did I play that game on? There's a game where like the cast of it is like completely LGBTQ plus and very authentic, you know, for lack of a better term. It felt like what the developers, like, that was the story they wanted to tell and it meant something to them. And I think a lot of people can see a multi-billion-dollar company and go, oh, this actually isn't, this doesn't feel like they did this because they wanted to make an artistic choice. This felt like they were making maybe what they thought were financially the strongest choices possible. The girl is a lead, yes. This Japanese character, which plays more like an assassin, it looks like, as opposed to the other that's kind of like a third-person action. They feel like more of an assassin. Don't hurt her. Don't hurt her! What has she done to you? Yeah, knock her out. I think it's Eichenfell. So Eichenfell is a game where it felt like they made the exact game they wanted to make.
He's coming. I need to
And then this, I can't tell if they're making the exact game they want to make or if they're making like what they think will focus group and test best. You know? It's an interesting question. But I'm always on the side of like, look, do whatever you want, but also you'll get whatever criticism comes with that. And I think it's interesting that Japan in general, like clearly the Japanese community around Ubisoft is like, this sucks. I think that's the most interesting, right? Because in the US here, it feels like people are going to argue back and forth about like anything race-based. Like it's just like the culture war, it is what we talk about. Everything is a culture war all the time. But I don't know if that's as much the case in Japan, which is what I thought was most interesting about it, was that Japan was like, we don't like this. But we'll have to see how it turns out. I've played every Assassin's Creed since Black Flag. I loved Black Flag, and since Black Flag, I've played every single one. So I'm sure I'll be hopping into this, but it's really interesting to see what, if anything, they do to change course here, you know? But clearly, there's a lot of, there's like a ton of gameplay with this character feeling like more of the assassin in it. So we'll have to see what happens when it released. I do like Assassin's Creed, although I will say, I thought Valhalla was quite bad. I think that's one of the worst Assassin's Creed I've played in a long time. But there you go, guys. What year is it? I'm not sure. They said it's feudal Japan, so like mid-15, like, I don't know, between like 15 and 1700, somewhere in there. I'm really not sure. I'm sure it's an outrage being spearheaded by shut-in Japanese 4chaners. Maybe. Honestly, the game looks good. Like, while we've been watching it and talking about it, the game looks really good. We just watched another game that did not look good, to be fair. This game, I think, looks quite good. So, I don't know. But I wanted to talk to you all about some gaming drama. There is Assassin's Creed Shadows and the outcry from specifically the Japanese community based on its main character. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. Let's play something. Let's do it. Oh, and thanks for watching. Thanks for listening if this becomes a video. Yeehaw to you and yours.